A version of you at 21. It was the summer you turned 21, and everything felt like it was balanced on the edge of something huge. You were living in a cramped apartment on the third floor of an old brick building in a mid-sized city you'd moved to for college. But school had just let out, and the future was suddenly wide open. You worked the early shift at a small, independent coffee shop downtown called The Daily Grind. The owner, Mara, was a no-nonsense woman in her 40s who trusted you enough to open the place most mornings. You'd unlock the metal gate at 5:45 a.m., flip on the lights, start the grinders, and watch the city slowly wake up through the big front windows. The regulars knew you by name. The bike messenger who always ordered a quadruple espresso, the retired professor who read the newspaper cover to cover, the young mom who came in with her toddler for a decaf latte and a blueberry muffin. After your shift ended around noon, you'd usually ride your beat-up fixed-gear bike across town to the riverfront park. You'd sit on the grass with a notebook and a cheap pair of headphones, listening to whatever new album your friends had been hyping that week. Probably something indie rock with reverb-soaked guitars and lyrics about heartbreak you hadn't fully experienced yet, but pretended to understand. You wrote fragments of stories and half-finished songs in that notebook, convinced that one day they'd turn into something real. Money was tight. Rent ate half your paycheck, and the rest went to cheap groceries, the occasional concert ticket, and gas for the weekend drives you took with your roommates when you all needed to escape the city. You shared the apartment with three other people. Sam, an art student who painted massive abstract canvases in the living room, Lena, who was pre-med and always studying, and Jake, your oldest friend from high school who'd followed you to the same city and spent most nights playing online poker. Nights were for wandering. You and your friends would pool whatever cash you had, buy a six-pack or a bottle of cheap red wine, and end up on someone's rooftop watching the skyline. Conversations swung wildly, from deep philosophical debates about meaning and purpose to stupid arguments about the best late-night tacos in town. You had a crush on a girl named Eli who worked at the record store. You'd go in every few weeks pretending to browse just to talk to her for 5 minutes. You never quite worked up the courage to ask her out, but those small interactions felt electric. One weekend in August, you all piled into Jake's old Honda and drove 6 hours to a music festival in the mountains. You camped in a muddy field, danced until sunrise, and for those 3 days, it felt like the real world didn't exist. On the last night, sitting around a dying campfire, you looked at your friends and thought, this is it. This is what being young is supposed to feel like. You weren't